Well, anyways, let's get started. Stephanie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Brandon?
I am doing really well. It is really cold here in Chalfont, so I'm just basking in your warmth vibes that you're sending our way.
Oh, it's beautiful here. I'm sending you all the warm vibes.
Thank you so much. So everybody, this is our new podcast called Transition Points, and it's just a podcast between two individuals. My name is Brandon Martinez, and I am a outreach specialist here at Project Transition Corporate Office, and I'm with Stephanie Payne.
Hello, I am the admissions and outreach counselor here at our Wilmington office, opening soon.
It's actually opening Friday to be exact, right?
Yes, Friday we have our open house ribbon cutting. The mayor is coming. I just got an email today that we are still on his schedule, so we're excited about that. And going to be doing tours of the facility and the apartments. We even have a couple of potential members coming to check us out, which I'm really excited about. Yeah. It's nice to hear that, we've got people that are interested, that they're going to get the opportunity to actually check us out, before they, their first day. I think that is a good opportunity for them. I'm really glad that we've got a few coming out.
Yeah, that's really exciting. We've been working on this for a while, the Wilmington program. So it's finally cool to see it all come together.
Yeah, there's a lot of people really excited about us opening up. And I have to be honest, it makes the outreach portion of my job so much fun, because when everyone's excited about what you have to say and has questions and they're engaging, it's so much fun. I can't say no to a meeting or doing a presentation. It's a lot of fun, a lot of excitement.
Absolutely. I love the outreach aspect. I mean, outreach is my entire job, so I don't have that admissions part of it. But just like going into these meetings, I always feel like so pumped up. I'll usually put on some like really hype music before I go in. And then as soon as I walk in the door, I'm like, yes, let's get it. I'm so happy whenever I do it. Like I switch from one person to another. And just to see that transition is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I love it too. It's great. And it's easy because, our program is truly unique and energetic in and of itself and fresh. And, not that it's a sales thing, but, it's like if you were in sales, selling televisions or whatever, you're going to have the most fun promoting the best TV, like the best TV you can find, the one with all the features. And I feel like Project Transition is like the best TV, the 4K or 5. I don't know what they have now, 5K. It's like,
yes,
this is great.
I was talking to one of my clients the other day, one of our partners the other day, and they were like, Brandon, you're not selling a program, you're encouraging a lifestyle. And I was like, wow, that blew my mind. So we are lifestyle encouragers, Stephanie.
Yes. Influencer.
We are influencers in every sense of the word. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Influencer, good influencers, hopefully.
Good influencers. Speaking of influencers, the other day I was on TikTok, and because we have our own Project Transition TikTok now. Follow us at project_transition. And I was surprised by all the different mental health influencers there are.
Yes. Yeah. It's one of the things when we were talking over the weekend about, just my personal take on mental health and social media and media period. Like it's part of the reason why I have so much hope is that I really think that a huge plus side from everything that went down with the pandemic is there's this light that's been shine now. We can't deny the fact that we each have a brain and we each have our own mental health struggles. We were all, forced to sit in isolation with how we were going to choose to deal with this drastic change. Yeah. And people are talking about it now. And you used to not really hear much about mental health in the news or media. And I love that it's rampant. And I just see so much hope in it.
Absolutely. And I know, like you said, we were talking this weekend about it. And originally I came at it from a very pessimistic point of view. But now the more I spent just searching through this TikTok, this like mental health TikTok stream, the more I was like, wow, like it's okay to be optimistic about the way social media is helping the mental health community. Because like you
Yeah.
said, there's people out there who might be too afraid to talk about it personally, but if they can see somebody that's just like them talking about it to the masses, it's the best form of self-treatment.
Yeah, well, you have like the negative way of looking at social media, which is the fact that, it's a very true and unfortunate fact that at any given moment, I can get on my phone to try and post something, even for work, or check a message that's work related, and I'll pick up my phone, and then all of the sudden, boom, there goes a half an hour of my day.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
if you are going to be on social media, and you do have the awareness that, hey, if I'm going to be looking at this stuff, I at least need to be following the right positive feeds. I need to be feeding my brain positive stuff and mental tricks, and you can find all that stuff. People are speaking out about tricks that they, I call them like the tools in their toolbox. They're sharing those with other people, and I just think that that's huge.
They're using their tools as a trade.
Exactly.
I'm actually really surprised by the amount of people that have been speaking out about it, especially in the celebrity and entertainment world. As you know, I am a huge fan of Pete Davidson, for real. And he is probably one of my favorite people when it comes to the mental health community, because he's not afraid to talk about how he's feeling. He's gone on SNL numerous times and spoken about exactly what he's going through. And I think that we need more of that. We need more like-minded individuals to not be afraid to tell people that, hey, they're not doing okay, and that's okay. They need more people to say, hey, I was using these substances for a really long time, and I'm getting the help that I need because I was tired of living the life I was living.
Yeah, it's normalizing the fact that we're all human and we all have our vices. And even, I think back to my personal experience and meeting people that were in recovery, and seeing how well they were doing, and getting to have conversations with them in instances when they were like, I would sit them down and I would say, no, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Like I'm bad like this. I'm every day, I would go into detail, the ugly details of how low I was.
Mm-hmm.
And then to hear them say, hey, that was me 4 years ago, or that was me. I was worked, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, it's mind blowing, and it gave me so much hope.
Yes. I always say that I started my recovery journey when I was in the military. The military is a culture of going hard and going fast nonstop. So you do these certain things to keep you consistently going,
Yeah.
And so I wanted to change that. So I finally took a chance. I was like, hey, Sergeant, I need to get some help, because the way I'm going, I'm not going to be an effective soldier. Right. But then I did that on my own. But then when I got out of the military, I had to make this whole transition from being regimented every day to being an individual who had no real direction, who had to find his own direction. And because of that, I was slipping into this area that wasn't the best for my recovery or for my mental health. And then so when I got to college at Drexel University, shout out Drexel, I was picking up that life of excess again. I'm falling back into my own ways. I need to get back to where I was at before. So I went on the White Chair app. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Oh, so it's an app that has a list of every single AA and NA meeting around you.
Oh, wow.
And then I went to this sunrise semester in Rittenhouse Square at like 7:15 in the morning. I sat there and I was like, listen, I've been doing this already for 4 years. I already know what I'm doing. And then they were like, no, you don't. You're still early. And then we left, and then we went to this coffee shop, and my current sponsor, he was like, listen, bro, everything that you said you thought you knew, yeah, you don't know. So I always say my life was changed in that coffee shop. I accepted recovery instead of living recovery. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. There's that. Sounds like you experienced a little bit of humility.
Yes.
Maybe. Am I right? That was key. That was key for me. Still to this day, it's so easy for us to just fool ourselves into thinking like, I got this, I'm good. And I mean, even too, I'm fairly new to this position at work, and I'm loving every minute of it. But I have to, right now, I'm working really hard on reminding myself the importance of, my recovery and my self-care. It is, someone once told me, whatever you put in front of your recovery or above on your priority list, your recovery, you risk losing.
Yes.
And that stuck with me, because it's true. You can't, it's like the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah. You say that. I love that. I love it when you say that. And you say that a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's true. You can't. And, I say it a lot, but I'm not always the best at really living it. But, we're all human. It can be, it's something, it is a lifestyle. I think you said earlier. And I think it's a choice every day to make sure you're putting your needs first. There was a counselor I had early in recovery that, I was similar to you, where I was like feeling really good. You hear the term pink cloud. I was like, this is great, like getting my life on track, and was really enjoying sober life, and was kind of sliding in my daily meditation. And I wasn't journaling, and I mentioned it to her in a session, and she asked me, she was like, Stephanie, was it vital for you when you were, within 30 days? And I said, yes, absolutely. And she said, if it was vital to you then, it's vital to you now, and it'll always be vital. And gosh, she was right.
Wow. That if it was vital to you, then it will always be vital. That is absolutely amazing. Those are some wise words.
Yeah. Someone, I think it was Andrew Grossman. Is that Grossman?
Andy, yeah.
Director
of programs in Berks County. Yep.
Yeah. So we had a chat several weeks ago, and he mentioned the planting of seeds in early on recovery. And I feel like we could do an entire podcast just on that concept of,
which we will later on.
I would love that. Because there are, when he said that, I immediately thought of all of my seeds, what the counselor said to me about, if it was vital to you, then it's vital to you now. Like it's just like being, talking to a young child. There are things when you are young that you hold on to and you never forget. And I feel like in the admissions portion of my job, it's so beautiful that now I get to pass on some of these seeds that were planted for me in my early beginning, and hope they stick. But it's true. You don't forget them. It's just beautiful.
Absolutely. When I was first, I'd say about 5 years, not when I first, but about 5 years into my recovery, I was talking to my mom, and I was like, hey, Mom, does it ever bother you that I go to these meetings? And ever since I started getting to recovery, I get tattooed a lot. I think it's just a recovery thing. I know a lot of people that are in recovery that have so many tattoos, or it also might be a military thing, a little bit of mixture of both, But I was like, does it bother you that I have all these tattoos, and I go to these meetings and I do all this different things for my recovery? And then she was like, Brandon, I get my nails done once a month, and it's my personal maintenance. By you doing this is your personal maintenance to ensure that you look good on the outside and on the inside. And I was like, wow, Mom, dropping knowledge.
Oh, it sounds like she's a very supportive and understanding mom, which is great. My mom, the same situation. My parents would freak out when I would come home with like a nose piercing or something. And then I think I put them through so much hell as a young adult, and worried them so much. Now I feel like they're just grateful for me to be here.
So a big thing with mental health and recovery is to have self-care. I say every Fridays and Sundays are called self-care days. So Fridays, I do exciting self-care things. Like I'll go out, I'll go to record stores, I'll go to used bookstores. I plan everything fun to be on Fridays. And a lot of the times I try to do either by myself or with my friends. My friends that are doing it don't have to be in recovery, but it's just to be around people to feel happy, you know? And then Sundays are self-care Sundays, and those are just for me. That's where I'll do like my meditation, I'll do all my recovery reading, things like, and that's very important to maintain good mental health and recovery.
That's beautiful.
Do you do anything like that?
So I do, and I'm as I mentioned earlier, I'm in the process of fine tuning it because I'm blessed with so many beautiful
Hashtag blessed.
Yes, blessed. Hashtag blessed with so many opportunities to do what I love now, which is incredible because if you knew me before recovery, I did not know who I was. I didn't, I mean, I knew what I was passionate about, but I didn't believe in myself. I didn't ever believe that I would have any opportunities to truly participate in anything. I didn't believe I deserved it really. So now, I have this amazing job where my job is to be 100% myself.
Yes.
And it's fantastic. I mean,
absolutely.
I literally still to this day feel so surreal on so many levels. And I have supportive bosses and amazing coworkers that I can share exactly who I am, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. It's a dream come true. And so naturally, I want to do that really well. And so I've got a lot that I want to put into my job. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's something I've never had before. And then I have my involvement with Theater for All, which is, I've always wanted to participate in theater, and individuals with disabilities has always been a cause near and dear to me. I've had a lot of major reconstructive surgeries and spent some time in wheelchairs for a good bit. So I'm working on this balance. I still meditate. So I meditate in the morning. Back to the question. Yeah, I meditate every morning. And that's something that I've done ever since I got in recovery. It's stuck with me. It works for me. So I don't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
And we'll just keep it real. My fun self-care days are when I consider those my Saturday when I do rehearsals with Theater for All. Being a part of that community means so much to me. And then Sundays, I try to get in as much as I, but I do a lot of work on Sundays these days because this is a somewhat new industry to me. And but yeah, well, I'm not gonna lie and tell you that I've got my new schedule figured out when I don't. We're keeping it real on the podcast, but it's a work in progress.
Just like mental health and recovery.
Exactly. So what's your knowledge on DBT?
I know that there's a lot of it. I've just I actually ordered Marsha Linehan's book, and I'm really excited to get more into it. So
this is I have a beautiful analogy that she writes about this analogy of being stuck in a house that's on fire.
Wow.
And the only way you can get out of the house is to go through the front door where the fire is most prevalent. It's the only way to get out of the house. And it's just speaking about, in order to get yourself out of a situation, be it an addiction, depression, whatever that is, like you have to face the scariest aspects of whatever you're up against.
You have to accept it.
Yeah, you have to accept that first. So I was just curious to know if you had any thoughts.
Well, in regards to that, that is one of my favorite things about DBT. But in the military, they always used to say, listen, we don't know what's behind that door, but I can tell you we're not going to get to what's behind that door while we're all stacked up against the wall. So I'm going to need you guys to buckle up your boots and kick it down and face it head on. So that's how I always transcribe it to DBT.
And I'm excited for you to read Marsha's book
Yeah.
because as a fellow individual in recovery, I feel like I noticed a lot of similarities to 12-step programs,
Yes.
which obviously has proven helpful for you and I and many, many others. And DBT has also worked well for countless others. So I would love to maybe get, when you do read that book, for you to get up with me on your take on those similarities, because
Absolutely, it should be here within the week.
there's another part in here where she writes about willingness. Willingness is all about opening yourself to what is. It is about becoming one with the universe, participating in it, doing what is needed in the moment.
Wow.
Which is, and willingness, as we know, is key.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Key to unlock all doors.
If we're speaking about books, I keep mentioning this to you, but I really want you to, and I think I'll just send it to you at this point. I really want you to read Russell Brand's version of the 12 Steps. It's called Recovery.
Oh my gosh, I have to. I love him so much.
So
you should have had me send you. I could have sent you Marsha's book. It's already tabbed and highlighted in all the great spots.
All right. So Recovery will also be highly tabbed up and has a whole bunch of writing over it, but I promise it's better that way. But it's essentially,
absolutely.
It's essentially his breakdown of the 12 steps, but instead of being spiritual about it, coming from a medical aspect, he breaks it down and is very, very blunt about it. And I think blunt sometimes works off better.
It does. I think what works for some doesn't work for others, and vice versa. And I think that realizing that for myself has been so key, because the tricks that I do, like, let's talk about willingness to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Just because it's in front of us. The dishes are a great go-to example. I hate doing the dishes. I don't, it's whatever reason, it's a chore I don't like. At some point in my recovery, I started doing in my head, making mental like ding noises every time I put a dish where it's supposed to go, when I'm unloading the dishwasher or when I'm washing. So each time I wash a dish, I place it down on the drying mat, ding, goes off in my brain, and it works really well. But that's something that I created on my own, and it just works. And I feel like figuring out what works for you along the way is a concept. I love hearing everyone's different, tricks that they have for themselves.
If we're talking about tricks similar to your things, I do the 1, 2, 3 go. So if I want to if I don't want to do something, but I know I need to do it, I will say 1, 2, 3 go, and I will have to do it. So as soon as I say go, I'll just do it, whether I want to do it or not. And it's a really big motivator for me.
My sponsor actually gave me the analogy for the 1, 2, 3 of, jumping into a pool.
Yeah.
I love that.
It definitely has its highs and its lows sometimes. Yeah, that 1, 2, 3 go has really, really helped in a lot of ways.
It's hard to figure out how to motivate yourself. But it's definitely that same situation where you've got to figure out what motivates you. And a lot of times starting anything, whether you're using the 1, 2, 3 go or however you get, it's just starting, it's because you do one thing, you check one thing off the list, or for me, I check one thing off the list and it further motivates me to check the second and the third thing and the fourth thing off. But it's just figuring out what works for you. And it can be really hard and very like almost humbling in a sense to try and figure out those things at the age I feel like I did, because I feel like I didn't figure out what worked for me until recently. But there's so much self-discovery that comes along through the journey of recovery. And you don't think about recovery that way before you're you're experiencing it, like I think it can be viewed as weak. And you kind of, you hear the word recovery, as I've mentioned to you before, and I think people just imagine misery, just not doing the one thing they've known to do as far as coping, and you're walking blindly into the unknown. It's just terrifying. But it's the opposite. It's the absolute opposite of weak. People in recovery are the strongest individuals.
I think recovery in any aspect is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Any form of recovery, whether you're starting out, starting over, it doesn't matter. If you can be the example of getting sober and getting healthy mentally, then you can be the example for starting over.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're not going to get it unless you walk through that fire, like we mentioned earlier. And I just heard someone on a very positive feed source that I follow on Instagram, I think, talking about whatever it is you want in life, you have to be willing to experience the opposite feeling to get. So if you want to be healed, you have to be willing to feel that brokenness. If you want to be wealthy, you have to be willing to feel really poor and broke to get to that point.
Yeah.
It's just, I thought it was a really beautiful analogy. Do you feel like there are any misconceptions that you would like to address or that really bother you when it comes to recovery and mental health?
Yes. Just because you're bent doesn't mean you're broken. I feel like so many people that this is just a personal experience. When I tell people that I'm in recovery and I had some mental health issues that I was dealing with, especially on the latter half, they always get like, "Oh, are you okay?" Absolutely, I'm okay, and I'm okay to talk about it too. It's nothing I'm ashamed of. I'm a big proponent of, you shouldn't be ashamed of your recovery and your mental health. You are addressing it, and that's really important. So if that was one big misconception, it'd be like, listen, just because you're going through it and you're in this community doesn't mean that you're broken.
Absolutely. I remember that in the beginning where I had family members that, and it's nobody's fault.
Yeah.
If you haven't experienced it for yourself, you don't understand, but it was kind of almost like a pity, like, are you okay? And it's like, oh, I'm great. And
better than I've ever been.
Yeah. People don't realize that there's so much action. Like there's so much action involved in recovery.
Yes.
You are no longer in survival mode or just, hanging on by a thread. You're living every day, taking the steps you need to actively address those changes. And you're going from, it's opposite action, which is, it's something in DBT. It's you're not just not doing something, you're
embracing it.
Yeah, you're going from like a -10 to a positive anything. I hope that makes sense. How do you feel you use your personal struggles to help others?
I feel I do as much as I possibly can. When I was in college, when I was an intern in graduate school, I worked for the Urban Affairs Coalition in Philadelphia, which was like just a group, like a giant group of nonprofits that would go and help the community. But I was specifically part of Global Citizen, and while there, I worked as a event planner and community organizer. And they were like, "Listen, you're going to be part of this team. That means you have to use your past to help the present." I was like, wow, like that's something that always stuck with me. So I created, me and my partner, my work partner, Ivy, we created over 6 months a recovery and mental health resource festival that was held right in Center City at City Hall. We had over 20 tables, over 300 plus attendees. We had speakers giving testimonials about recovery. It was sponsored by a local councilwoman that I'm not going to name in respect to her privacy that she requested. So when it comes to how to help others, I fully dive right in.
Yeah.
And I didn't
What do
mean to
you,
be like one giant plug. I apologize, but I'm just really proud of what we did.
no, you should be. That's amazing. I think you sent me the flyer for that.
Yes.
That was amazing. I wish I could have been there.
I wish you were there. What about you, Stephanie?
Oh, I'm just really open about my struggles and my past struggles. I mean, similar to like you said, I never say no if I to a person if they're asking me for, help or guidance. And I love sharing the incredible amount of resources for the recovery community that we have here in Wilmington. So many of them, I just had no idea what I was getting myself into. But Wilmington's a really beautiful city, and it's easy for people, I think, to move here for college, what have you, to the beach, and it's very easy to lose yourself, but it's also a really amazing place to recover. So I love, participating in the support groups around town and directing people to the support groups around town, getting them plugged in, because for me, it really was the community that meant the world to me in the beginning. You just can't ever have enough support in the beginning. It does take a village, and I'm really blessed to be able to, pass that along and have so many incredible relationships with people around town. And the recovery community is so strong in that if something were to go down and I didn't know what I was going to do, there are 10 whopping handfuls of people I know I could pick up the phone and they would be here in a heartbeat. And that's just a symbiotic relationship worth striving to keep. And I just engage in the community as much as I can in order to give back. I did want to ask you, what are some of the things that brought you to start asking for help? And I apologize if you've already mentioned this.
Oh no. So like I said, when I was in the military, I was a really heavy drinker. And that's just, I wasn't the only one that was like that. There's a lot of the military has that culture where you're just going nonstop, like I said earlier. And so it leads to like a lot of drinking to deal with depression and all that. And then so what happened was I went home on leave for Christmas, and the first couple of days I was like really, really sick, and I was like, wow, like I don't want to ever feel like this again. I want to be as clear as mind for my job as possible. So when we got back, I went to my boys. I was like, hey boys, like I know we are always going out and all that, but I ask you that from just moving forward, if you could just not do it around me, that'd be great. And they were like, even better, we're in this together.
Wow. So it sounds like you were just really in tune to your body and knew you needed a clear mind.
I knew, because you can't do what I was doing without a clear mind. And like, mind you, I was trying as hard as I could to do it, but it just doesn't always come out that way.
Yeah. So you wouldn't say that you were you afraid to reach out for help at all?
Absolutely, because I didn't want people to think I was weak. Even now, it takes a lot for me to ask for help. But I will do help a lot more. I will ask for help a lot more now than I used to before. I just didn't want people to think that I was this guy that I was trying so hard not to be. To be honest, I was portraying a character that I really wasn't made out to be. I don't want to say I was living a lie, but I was in a role of somebody that thought he knew what he was doing when in fact he didn't. Does that make sense?
It does. The role for me was the role of a person who could control their drinking.
Absolutely.
And I'm not that person. And that's okay. That's okay. Some people can't. And I'm one of them. And luckily, I know that now. And we mentioned earlier when we spoke about the media and the stigma surrounding mental health and recovery in the media. And I do want to talk about a particular show that single-handedly inspired me to seek help, because I didn't want to be the person who could no longer be the life of the party. P.S. Still the life of the party. I don't need booze.
I'm also still the life of the party.
And I never would have guessed that was going to be the case had you told me back then. But there's a show on Hulu called Mom.
Great show.
And absolutely fantastic show that just completely normalizes seeking help and being in recovery. And it's a mom and a daughter, and I would watch that show with, my glass of white wine, and I slowly became to realize, like, this chick is my age, and here she is, like, she's still funny, she still has a life, she's still able to, make friends, and it's one of the big contributing factors to me going and driving myself to a 12-step meeting. And I love the fact that there's room now in television on these streaming networks for shows like that are really doing a service to the community by normalizing these things.
Absolutely. Just to hop onto media again, I know I mentioned Shameless. Yes. Their character Lip, who I highly identify with, he went through a struggle of sobriety and recovery in that show as well. But one scene that will always stick with me, and it was in the last couple of seasons, was where he had relapsed and he had gone on this big drinking binge, and then he walked into his sponsor's house at like 2:30 in the morning and said, "I need a meeting." And without hesitation, the sponsor said, "All right, let's go." And I've been in that exact situation early in sobriety. And I just think that is the most beautiful thing about the recovery community.
The best friends you'll ever have. So, call to action. We need more normalization of recovery and mental health in mainstream media, on streaming network. We need people to continue talking the talk on all their social media platforms. Keep reaching out for help if you have questions. Keep talking the talk if you're in those communities. Keep those relationships going. And I think we're well on our way.
Absolutely. And you know what? Most importantly, Stephanie?
What?
It's okay to not be okay.
Absolutely. In fact, perfectly normal to not be okay.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening to us today. We will definitely be back with more content for you to hear in the future. So please stay tuned and keep on listening. And remember, don't be afraid to reach out. My name is Brandon Martinez.
And I'm Stephanie Payne.
See you all again soon.